Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravitam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Maditvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hello.
Hi.
I will let you log on.
Yes.
So, does anyone know where we are?
Starting chapter 18.
Starting chapter 18. We're waiting for our techno wizard to log on. Isn't Guru Purnima coming up soon?
Yes.
When is it? Do you know?
I don't know the exact date, but the full moon in July.
Alexa, when is the full moon in July?
The next full moon will be on July 13th at 11:37 a.m.
There we go.
What's that?
Yep. Okay. 18. Ashtabakra uvacha yasya bodhodaye tavat swapna vadbhati brahma tasmai sukhe karupaya namah shantaya tejase. Ashtavakra said, salutations to that which is the embodiment of bliss, serenity, effulgence, with the dawn of whose knowledge all delusions become unreal as a dream.
Yes. So, I was talking with a friend yesterday, and probably the essence of yoga, the essence of realization, and the fruit of our practice. Lord Krishna says in the 55th verse in the second chapter of Gita. Now, we've talked about how in our scriptures, whenever we have lists, usually the most important thing is said first. So in verse 54, Arjun says, what are the marks of the man of steady wisdom? How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? And we get this very famous Sthita Prajna Purusha section, where the indications of the person of steady wisdom, the Sthita Prajna Purusha, are set forth. And in the 55th verse, two ideas. He, that one, who has cast off all the desires of the mind, well, that's easy enough to do. I do it every night when I go to sleep. But the second half of the verse is, and who is satisfied in the self by the self. Then that person is said to be a person of steady wisdom. In the end, it's very simple. Now, it's not very possible to have easy revelry in the bliss of the self while we are attached to the world. So we not only need to know Aham Brahmasmi, I am that ground of being, I am that darkness, but what is this world? And the names and forms are mithya, illusory, meaning they have no inherent joy-giving or misery-producing qualities. I attribute all that to them in my life. So we not only need to realize the self as the witness of it all, but we have to see the self in and through all the objects. Key to that is intense Vairagya. To use the famous image of the snake in the rope. As long as I keep smooching that snake, I'm never going to see the rope. So in the end, the phenomenal world isn't bad. It's not dangerous. Again, Shankara at one point in our practice will say, that fool, listen carefully, mistakes a rope for a snake. No, a snake. Yeah, a rope for a snake. He reverses it. I think it's just a harmless rope, but no, it's a really poisonous cobra. And I get bitten by the poison of attachment. But in the end, the phenomenal world is shunyata. It's empty. Pretty to look at. But the only bliss of the world is still just a taste of myself. So the person of steady wisdom not only works I'm letting go of the world. Let go of the world. But also abhyasa, practices. Shankara will say, who's a full knower of the Supreme, who has retired into the Supreme. Love that. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Arjay yitva kilana narthan bhogana noti pushkalan nahi sarva ditya kam tamman prena sukhi bhavet. One gets plenty of enjoyments by acquiring the manifold objects of the senses. Surely one cannot be happy without renouncing them all.
Yes. So I was talking with a friend yesterday. He's young, he's only 27. And he's got a house now, and he's working on getting the dog. But, oh, I'll really be happy when I get the Porsche. I really want a Porsche. Of course, a month after you get the Porsche, it's just a car. It's nice. So how do I renounce the world? In Vivekachudamani, Shankara talks about the quality of shama, that peaceful state of mind, when the mind rests in steady contemplation of the self, of the goal, after having again and again, detached itself from the chaos of the sense objects. How? Through a steady observation of their defects. How do I do that? When the mind is in the state of kama, craving, spriha, longing, sangraha, attachment, it hurts. When the mind lets go, I have peace. Don't believe me. Don't believe the scripture. Watch. Simple exercise. Anybody have a bad day this week? Tell me. It's the first time you've felt this. Over, over, over again. What does my mind do? I want it my way, my desires, my demands. World isn't behaving. And then when the world doesn't behave, I'm angry. I'm caught a victim of the KKK. I don't mean the Ku Klux Klan. Karma, karma, karma. I want. Karma, action. Take a baseball bat to the world, but then beat it into submission. What's the end result when it doesn't behave? Krodha. I'm angry. Yoga says, let it go. Any thoughts on this? When the mind is covered by ignorance, it will present, I'm unhappy because I don't have what I want, or I'm not who I think I should be. That's an illusion. None of us are youngsters. How has that paradigm worked out for you? Any thoughts on this? Next one.
Kartavya dukhamartanda jwala tadhantaratmanaha gata prashamapi yashadhara saramrite sukham. One whose inner equipment has been scorched by the heat of the sun of sorrow arising from his deed, where can he enjoy happiness except in the continuous ambrosial shower of desirelessness?
Yes. So the word here that he's using is kartavya, obligatory action, the compulsion to go from point A to point B. The I'll be happy when, it'll be better if, more, better, or different. My happiness is not here now, it's there then. The more I want it, the more I don't get it, the more unhappy I am. Here he says, desirelessness is ambrosia. We prove it every night. Everybody loves a deep sleep. Wake up in the morning, put your pillow. Oh, I don't want to get out of bed. Why does it feel so good? Because the tyranny of the mind hasn't started up. Then, oh, I need to do this. And then, oh, I've got to do that. Oh, I'm so pissed off about what happened yesterday. And oh, I'm so worried about tomorrow. Not our experience. Listen carefully. Your mind is absolutely necessary to be miserable. Your mind is not necessary. By mind, thought in and of itself is not problematic. It's just three basic ideas. Jiva Bhavana. I think I'm my body. I think I'm a person. Some goal and kartavya. Struggle towards. That's the mind. That's samsara. That's karma chakra. That's the world. Next one.
Bhavoyam bhavana matro na kinchit paramarthataha nastya bhava sabhavanam bhava bhava vibhavinam. The universe is but a mode of thinking. In reality, it is nothing. The inherent nature of the existent self and of the non-existent universe are never lost.
So the universe is a mode of thinking. Again, drawing on the metaphor, the paradigm of Yoga Vasishta. Who am I? What is this world? And how has it come about? Who am I? Aham Brahmasmi. What is this world? We have two phrases that we have to reconcile. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman alone is real. The phenomenal world is illusion. But then we have Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this, meaning the phenomenal world, the Jagat, is verily Brahman. There's not consciousness plus the world. What is the world? The world is just imagination. Grossified thought. Comes about by means of sankalpa. And never forget, God imagines the world not just at us and to us, but as us and through us. The macrocosmic scale, the Lord is imagining things. The Lord has imagined that light moves at 186,000 miles per second. There's nothing you or I can do about that. But my own personal zoo, my little funny farm that I live in, I perceive from my own senses to an enormous degree what I experience is the result of my own attitudes. Now listen carefully. It is of value to make the unconscious conscious. In my opinion, all of modern psychotherapy is based on that. We have unconscious things going on. We don't know why. Find out your trauma from your childhood. It's very interesting. Modern psychology calls it family of origin. Yogis call it reincarnation. Doesn't matter which way you look at it. Make the unconscious conscious. But then in the end, we have to do the tapas. On Saturday mornings, we're studying Yoga Sutra. And I just have fallen in love with the scripture. And in the second chapter, the first sutra in the second chapter, Tapa Swadhyayeshwara Pranidhana Kriya Yoga. Tapas, austerity. Swadhyaya, our own self-study. Ishvara Pranidhana, trustful surrender to God, is yoga in action. This is the actual practice of it. So let's take it from the middle and go out that way. Swadhyaya, as Patanjali looks at it, does it just mean study of the scripture, our own self-study? It means our own psychotherapy. It means small self study. Shankara calls it a knowledge of the world inside and of the world outside. I need to know what my issues are, my kleshas, potentially calls it, my afflictions. Once I'm familiar with them, what do? Tapas. In the end, the initial practice is thought placement. The mind has habituated itself to go down these negative paths of thinking and feeling. Regret for the past, resentment for family. Again, if you look at what troubles you, you'll see how incredibly similar all the situations are. Ego says circumstances create my thought states, my mind states. Yoga says, no, my habituated mind states are creating my experience of the world. So the tapas is to develop the discipline, the austerity, to think differently. I call it the law of the third eye. This is the light on the miner's helmet or on your bicycle helmet. You know, wherever you turn your head, that lights whatever's up. So whatever you look at, meaning whatever you pay attention to, you're going to think about. Whatever you look at repeatedly, you will think about repeatedly. Repeated thought becomes habituated thought. Habituated thought sinks into the unconscious and becomes the law of my life. It becomes the way I experience and perceive the world. So as the mystic Emma Curtis Hopkins used to say, keep the high watch. Behold the divinity ever beholding you. But if you keep looking at the crap, your life gets crappy. Modern psychology comes close to this with the whole field of behavior modification. Tell us, Aditi, what is behavior modification as a particular therapeutic practice?
You notice your behaviors and your thoughts, and you change those behaviors and thoughts in order to change how you feel.
Can you give us a concrete example?
Nothing's coming to mind particularly, but I don't know.
So practically speaking, let's say you had a trauma from your childhood. Is it of value to know the reason, say, you don't trust men is because you had an alcoholic father? Okay, it's good to figure that out. But when the fear of intimacy arises, it's not going to go away just by knowing you had a drunken father. You have to start changing the behavior and the action. Now, the metaphysicians say, change your thinking and your behavior will change. The 12-step people say, act your way into right thinking. All right, which is it, Jim? Yoga says, yes. Why? The mind and the body are just two sides of the same thing. They're a subtle and gross form of the same thing. Work on both. Change your actions and work on changing your habituated thinking. The most important thing is everything follows from what we look at. Any thoughts on this?
One thought's coming to mind. From a practical perspective, when working with our traumas or our inner glacias, I found that it's, at least for me, it has been really important to feel the feelings first before I can change my thinking. Like, yeah, like just to have space for them. And then
Yes.
after that, it's like, okay, now I see it, I feel it, and I'm tired of feeling it.
This is why I'm so keen on Tonglen. Tonglen is a tantric practice. It's very simple. When we're aware of suffering, either in ourselves or another person of the world, what do? We don't fight, we don't resist, we don't try to, it's not there, it's not there, it's not there. You breathe it in. It's somatic. So there's no resistance to the feeling. And I can do that because at a very deep level, I know it's fundamental in reality. It's just a feeling. Breathe it in, or acknowledge it in some way. But then what's the second half of the Tonglen?
Exhale out the quality that you wish to cultivate.
Yes. Exhale out the quality you wish to cultivate. And I like it because it somatically undercuts the fight and flight mechanism. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's why I love it.
Can you repeat that, Jean, please?
Okay, so what we usually want to do with an uncomfortable feeling, a trauma from childhood or abuse or something that was painful or terrifying, the mind sets up, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to be there. I have denial. Denial gets a bad rap, in my opinion. Denial is to the psyche what shock is to the body. So when you're running through the jungle and a tiger's chasing you and you fall down and you cut your foot, shock will come in. You won't feel the pain until you're in the tree that you can climb up and save yourself from the tiger. Oh, wow, I really hurt my foot. But you didn't feel it right away. The body blocks the pain so that you're safe. That's what shock does. But the mind does the same thing with denial. There's some painful, dangerous, traumatic experience, and the mind encapsulates it and puts it away so I can survive. Ideally, when I feel safe, bring that out and become present to it again. So again, don't feel badly if we have denial, especially children. I was watching these interviews like this 11-year-old kid who's there in the Uvalde classroom. She smeared blood all over herself and lay still, pretended she was dead so the shooter wouldn't kill her. Oh, man. She got a lot of stuff to process at some point. But you could feel it. She was just really shut down as the mind's trying to protect itself from the trauma. All of us who've had dysfunctional homes, traumatic childhoods, maybe an abusive relationship, we've got to make the unconscious conscious. So I totally agree with Aditi. You've got to feel the feelings. You don't need to necessarily know the story. Understanding is the booby prize. Aha, it's when I was 6 years old and that was the trauma. You don't necessarily need to know that. Sometimes the memories will not come. But you can be present to the feelings. The material is right here, right now. Now, in Tonglen, which is a tantric practice, it's a Tibetan Buddhist practice. What I like about it is when we're aware of suffering, either in our own psyche or in the world. Ego's fight and flight mechanism is, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel that. It's too painful. Let me go eat. Let me go do Netflix. Let me play video games. Let me work really hard. Or what I'll do is I'll find a friend and vent over and over and over again. Which is the mind's attempt to get out, get away from the feeling. And what yoga says, be totally present to it. I love the Tonglen, breathe it in. Then breathe out the antidote, the opposite idea. Did that make it a little clearer?
Yes, thank you so much.
Anybody have anything else to add on this? A little bit of a tangent. It's a paradox. The first real renunciation of the false sense of self, the first real renunciation of our belief in the mind, is our willingness to be authentic to our own psychological material. I start taking that stuff as really real. It's scary. I'm not going there. Or I'm really a frightened child inside. No, I'm not. I'm a powerful person. Fight, flight, freeze. Isn't that the three of them?
Now they added a fawn.
Huh?
They added to freeze, fight, and what was the other one? Freeze,
Fight,
fly.
flight.
Yeah, I heard a fourth one, which is fawning, like kind of people pleasing. Yeah.
Oh, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Try to make nice.
Yeah.
That's very good. And I've actually, you see that in the animal world, where people try to make nice to fix it. Yeah. Good point. Good point. All right, let's go on.
Na duram na cha sancholam. Start again. Na duram na cha sancholam. Me vatmana vadama nirvikalpam nirayasam nirvikaram niranjanam. The self which is absolute, effortless, immutable, and stainless is not far away, inaccessible, nor is it limited, unattainable. It is indeed ever attained.
So listen carefully, Shrunuhu. The self is difficult to realize, not because it's far away, not because you need some heroic activity. We miss it because of its profound ordinariness. What is my problem? My problem is not that I don't have a self. When are you ever not you? My problem is I'm confused as to what the nature of that self is. So Puneet and Soundarya went camping over the weekend, and they camped by a lake. And the lake had very clear, pure water. And if you waded out in the lake, you could look down and see all the pebbles and the sand at the bottom of the lake. But what happens if a breeze comes up and trembles and ruffles the surface of the lake? Can you see the bottom of the lake then? It's there. Feel it with your toes, but you can't see it. So also, in the beginning, when the mind is ruffled by the winds of agitation, in my mind, it seems like I can't perceive myself as existence, pure awareness, this absolute. So we quieten the mind. Try to find that space between the thoughts in the beginning. Then with the attentive faculty introverted, who sees the space and the thoughts? You see, there's nothing there. Where did that horrible person who had so many problems go? Well, it's not a real thing. It's a kind of thinking. It's gone. It can come back, and then I get all deluded and suffering again. But over and over again. So we take the time to get still. Easiest way to stop the mind is bring the attentive faculty onto the self. Who am I? What's my essential nature? Now, once you really grasp it, you see it's always there. When are you ever not you? good person. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a sick person. I'm not a well person. I'm not a virtuous person. I'm not a vicious person. Nobody there. Then if we have some direct experience of just drop the world, let it all go. The great peace that comes. Whatever else the world. Next one.
व्यामोहमात्रविरते विरतौ स्वरूपादानमात्रतः वीतशोका विराजन्ते निरावरणदृष्टयः. Those whose understanding or vision is fully unveiled, they shine free from misery. As soon as their illusion ceases, the self is realized.
So the individuality is dependent on the thoughts of self. I am this, I am that. I me, mine, I me, mine, I me, mine. When the delusion of that is removed, withdraw my attention from all. Then the self is seen. Now, again, to review, two kinds of knowledge we talk about. The first is the only real knowledge. Real with a capital R. How do you know you are you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. And you do not doubt that you are. You are the knower of the self. You are the means of knowledge. The self is its own means of knowledge. And you are that which is known, not as an object. Nobody doubts their existence. The great cosmic joke is you've had that all along. So that's why the scriptures say it cannot be gained, it cannot be lost, cannot be achieved, cannot be relinquished. So what is moksha? What is liberation? In the mind, technically the subtle intellect. The mind is thinned, disappeared. When it returns, it goes, oh, I get it. There's nobody there. I'm not a person. This insight, this pratya vijnana, this recognition, this aha, happens to the mind. That's not the direct experience of the self. The direct experience of the self you always have. Now, at this point, you can give up the thought, do I know or don't I? Stay with what's real. The only thing you will ever know for sure is yourself. I like to say in the beginning, the world is real, God's a mystery. In the end, it's exactly the opposite. The self is real. It's the only thing I can know absolutely. It's this world that's the mystery. The play of light and shadow. Is it this or is it that? Who can say? But and I am Kutusta, still immovable like a boat. Empty. Next one. How many more in this chapter?
Several more.
Hmm?
10, 11, 12.
I don't think we'll make it. Okay. All right.
Samastam kalpana matra matma muktah sanatanaha iti vigyaya dhirohi kim bhayasyati balavat. All that exists is mere imagination. The self is free and eternal. Knowing thus, does the wise one act like a child?
So the world is just a light show. It's Leela, it's play or support or drama. Hologram. But I am real and eternal. There's that wonderful Shankara here. Sangoham, 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 Puna Puna, Satchidananda Rupoham, Aham Mevaham Avyaya. Unattached, unattached, attached again and again. Of the nature of the form of existence, consciousness. I am that I am. Immutable. Nothing's going to harm you. Nothing's going to touch you. You never change. The world is always changing. But nothing happens to the substrate. Even my moments of ignorance do not touch myself. You go to bed at night and you have dreamless sleep. Wake up in the morning, oh, I feel so good. You go to bed at night, you have dreams. Wake up in the morning, boy, those were vivid dreams. But I'm still in my bed. They never touched me. All this is like just imagination. Seen but not real. Certainly vivid. Don't believe me. Don't believe the scripture. Prove or disprove. Laboratory of your own experience. How? Atman, anatman, vivechana. Discrimination between the self and the not-self. Subject and all phenomena. The seer and the seen. You see whether or not anything ever touches you. Next one.
Atma Brahmeti Nishchitya Bhava Bhavocha Kalpito Nishkama Kim Vijanati Kim Brute Cha Karoti Kim. Having known with certitude that the self is Brahman, and the existence and non-existence are mere imaginations, what can one who is desireless know, say, or do?
Yes. So Brahman alone is real, and the self is Brahman. And existence and non-existence. Things come into existence and they go out of existence. I've been using the Ernest Holmes imagery. Consciousness is like a great sea of water, and the phenomenal world is like icebergs and ice cubes. What is ice? It's grossified water. It's water brought down to a lower vibratory level. It looks like something different from water, but it's not. And when the ice cubes melt, where does the water go? Hopeless. It's all that happens. Sometimes the ice cube exists and goes out of existence. And Ishvara is the great cosmic ice machine. And enjoy it. It's a beautiful world. See it for what it is. Next.
ayam so amayam naham iti kshina vikalpana sarvamatmeti nishchitya tushkiyam bhutasya yoginaha. Such thoughts as this is that, I am that, and I am not this are extinguished for the yogin who has become quiet, knowing with certitude that everything is self only.
Everything is self only. So we have the jnana vritti, the thoughts of knowledge. This is part of our jnana abhyasa, our practice of knowledge. Discriminate between the self and the not self. Take on the meditation. All this world is like a dream. I am ever the witness. These are valuable thoughts. Guide us. In the end, drop all that. Let the mind unknown shunya chitta, empty. Next one.
Na vikshepo na chaukatyam na tibodho na murhata na sukham na cha vadukham upashantasya yoginaha. The yogin who has attained serenity has no more distractions, no concentration, no increase in knowledge, no ignorance. He has neither pleasure nor pain.
So again, we have to understand this difference between the surface part of the mind's involvement with phenomena. Again, this used to confuse me because it was very clear that Swamiji had preferences. He liked spicy South Indian food. He liked going fast in cars. He's not supposed to have any desires. And it looked like he had some. Oh, so detached and so empty. Tune into it. Having a senior moment. Would you read the verse again?
The yogin who has attained serenity has no more distractions, no concentration, no increase in knowledge, no ignorance.
Yes. So, for the woman of realization, there is nothing to be gained by practice. I've had several students who are pretty rooted, and they've gone on some long Vipassana retreats. I will frequently ask someone, do you have any doubts about your essential nature? I don't ask them, are you enlightened yet? I say, do you doubt your essential nature? No, I don't have any doubts. No, aham brahmasmi. When you go on a meditation retreat, you come back and I say, oh, do you know any more self? Told you. Self is still the self. It does not rise, it does not fall. You either see it or you don't. That's simple. Now listen carefully. The seeker is seen to be doing practices so that he may quieten his mind and realize his essential nature. The woman of wisdom may also be seen to be doing practices. It does not add to her self-knowledge. It's just the highest form of worldly pleasure. Play with it. And understand, if you do a practice and your mind has gotten thunderously quiet and silent, don't worry, it'll pass. Because all mind states pass. All right, pull in here. Which one are we on for next week?
For chapter 18, verse 11.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all. It's good to be back.